Today, we want to talk about the recent attack of Trump supporters in California and other parts of the country. This is a very serious time in our country where we have a lot of violence going on. We've got people taking matters in their own hands, and it's got to stop. If you support an America that has free elections, you shouldn't be supporting the violence. The violence is not something that conservatives are about. We're not about the violence. Now, there's a history of Antifa and there's a history of Black Lives Matter, committing acts of violence and things. And there are also some people who pose as certain activists. There are people who go into Black Lives Matter, admittedly, who don't want to hurt anybody. However, anyone who goes into Antifa, they intend to hurt somebody. All right. And a lot of the leadership within Black Lives Matter, they've tolerated violence. Okay. Now, when it comes to the situation we have at hand right now, is that we have to understand that to support fair and free elections is nothing for anyone to be ashamed about. In fact, that's your constitutional duty. We want to have a great, honest election process that we can trust. And if people truly trusted the results of an election, they wouldn't mind things being audited. They wouldn't mind machines being audited. So let's just end that part of the discussion right here. Today, I want to talk about how you can know that Antifa is no different than the white supremacists, the white nationals. I want to show you how you can know that. All right. And I'm going to go through about 21 points of how you can know that Antifa is no different than the white nationalists, because that's something you all need to know. People don't understand. People will hear a person say an accusation, let's say, oh, that person's a Nazi, that person's a Nazi. But they don't even know what a Nazi is. The word Nazi comes from the German term called National Socialist Workers' Party. That's right, National Socialist Workers' Party. And if you really think about it, Hitler wasn't just about his own nation. He was about conquering other nations as well. So he was going to expand his socialism throughout the country and things. So throughout Europe, in fact, he was trying to take all of Europe over. Even Stalin was afraid of him because he was growing so fast. And both Stalin and Hitler were both the same mindset. They were both socialists. They were both globalists. So in fact, we think that Hitler was just focused on Germany. No, he wasn't. He was about, again, conquering France, Poland, exterminating people. He attacked Great Britain. You know that from history. Okay, so we need to understand that there are fascists out there in different parts of the left. And we're going to go over about 21 points how you can know that Antifa is really the fascist. When you people, Antifa, when you go out dressed in black and you beat up people, who do you think you are? Who do you think you're acting like? Do you think you're acting like just a meek and mild person when you beat up somebody, when you take weapons? Think about it for a second. Think about it. You're dressed in black. Some of you'll have chains. You've got spikes. You've got weaponry, and you just continually say words. You use a situation and you just say whatever you want to say. And your words mean absolutely zero. It means absolutely nothing. Okay? Because you are how you act. However you behave is who you are. You are what you think, period. If you think like a fascist, you're going to be a fascist. You are how you think. I think, therefore I am. Even Jesus said, as a man or woman thinketh, so is he or she. When you think a certain way, you are that. You are. And so when you're thinking like a fascist, when you're thinking like Hitler, when you're thinking like Stalin, that makes you the Nazi. That makes you the Nazi. The people who you accuse, words mean nothing, but actions are everything. We're looking at actions. Many of you don't even know what a fascist is. It's when government takes over the private institutions of everything, every aspect. Can you think of an example of how a party is taking over literally every institution of America? Can you? Can you? Can you? Of course you can. Your media, number one, the institution of media has been taken over by the Democrat Party. Number two, the institution of Hollywood and the entertainment community has been taken over by the Democrat Party. The legal system has been taken over by the Democrat Party. Education has been taken over by the Democrat Party. You see the examples? A lot of government institutions, the bureaucracies taken over by the Democrat Party. This is what fascism looks like. That's not what democracy looks like. This is what fascism is looking like. And it's no wonder that Democrats, you gladly receive funds from George Soros, who actually lived during the time of Hitler, served under Hitler, and was a Nazi. This socialist billionaire named George Soros funds over 2,000 Democrat leftist organizations. It's no wonder the Democrat Party is looking like the Nazi Party. It's no wonder. We're going to go over the points right now because you won't hear this anywhere else, because I've done a lot of research into this, and I'm going to give it to you free, so you all can understand what's going on here. Both the white supremacists and Nazis and Antifa both are domestic terrorist organizations of the left. They're both groups of the left. They both hate President Donald Trump and Republicans. Number two, they both express a hatred for America. Number three, they both are totalitarian because they want a centralized socialist government. Both of them want the same thing. They both are socialists and fascists because they believe in the government takeover of all private industry and seek a command economy. And then it also includes the institutions, like we were saying before. They both want national gun control confiscation programs and abolish the Second Amendment. That's right. Both of them, Antifa and the Nazis, want the same exact thing. As you think, there you are. That's who you are. You're going to behave like you think. Watch your thoughts, watch what your beliefs, because they'll eventually become actions. Number six, they both want to redistribute the wealth. Isn't it amazing? Both of them. And Democrats. I will add, and Democrats, you young people who are voting Democrat, these are the points that you believe. Isn't it amazing that the same George Soros that was under Adolf Hitler pushing Nazism is actually training you to be a Nazi? And yet they want you to just say, oh, they're the Nazi. You don't have any clue what a Nazi is. And we're going through this right now. This is clear as day. The evidence is clear as day that I'm going to continue to describe what the Nazis believe, and you Democrats are exactly what you blame Republicans of being. Okay, remember, number six, they both want to redistribute wealth. That's what Obama wanted to do. They both want a race war in America and don't want America to heal. Do you think Antifa wants people to heal? Do you think by beating up older men and young guys and shooting people, you think that's going to make America heal? No. It's no wonder you use all kind of racist terminology and you listen to media outlets that continue to stem and just spur people into racist thinking, like white supremacists. You believe in something called white privilege. That's racist. That is actual racist terminology. Okay, they both want to abolish the United States Constitution and destroy our First Amendment rights. Isn't that interesting? The Democrat Party wants to do that too. They don't believe we should have religious freedom. They don't believe we should have the freedom of speech. They don't believe we should have the right to assemble. They're using a virus from China, for goodness sake, as a biological weapon to make us look like China. Okay, so how in the world are we going to trust the leadership of such a party like that when they give China a pass? This is what we're talking about. As you think, so are you. If you think like these fascists, you are the fascists. We're trying to help you understand and listen. Okay, next, 9. They both originated from the Democrat Party and support its socialist agendas. There's a guy who ran as a Republican, but he was actually a Democrat. He voted for Nancy Pelosi's policies about 99% of the time. That's right. This person voted for Nancy Pelosi's agenda 99% of the time. And basically he lives in Skokie, in the area of Skokie and everything. And this guy is like a member, he's basically a Nazi, but he's a Democrat. He's a Democrat. You know, he votes just like a Democrat, acts like a Democrat, talks like a Democrat, votes like a Democrat. He's a Democrat. Okay, it doesn't matter what the party. The party means nothing. It's about your actions. It's about what you believe. It's about what you do. That's, you know, actions matter more than words. Words mean nothing. So when you say, "Oh, you're the Nazi, you're the Nazi," you're repeating words that mean absolutely nothing. 2 times 0 is still 0. Um, a billion times 0 is still 0. Okay, that's just that's just simple logic. They both express hatred for Israel and Jews. They both are anti-Semitic. Okay, they both use domestic terrorism and killing innocent people to get what they want. Okay, this is what they're doing. This is what we're seeing right now in America. They both use these nationals are using domestic terrorism. In fact, why in the world, if you think that Republicans were the ones that helped breaking, how come Antifa was arrested? How come Black Lives Matter was found there as well? How come Black Lives Matter is planning events all over the country to attack the Capitol, just like they did the cities? But where were the Democrats? Where were they targeting and Black Lives Matter for the violence and the shooting of cops? Where were they when the cities, over 50 major Democrat-controlled cities, were burning in a flame of fire? Where was the Democrat Party leadership? They were just bailing people out. They were bailing. Kamala Harris was worried about bailing people out who are shooting cops, who are creating violence and mayhem in cities. So who are really the fascists and who are really getting off the hook? See, when you control the media, you can control the narrative. And because socialists and fascists believe in controlling the institutions, taking over the institutions, it's no wonder you didn't even hear much about the violence that occurred and all the police shootings of thousands of cops who are killed in the name of Black Lives Matter, in the name of social justice, in the name of leftist fascism. That's what you're not being told, because that same George Soros that funds the Democrat Party is trying to raise up more little Nazis, little socialists, who also want to expand that global socialism all over the world. Okay, so now you got to think about that. Who are you going to associate with? Are you going to associate with a party that's actively thinking like a Nazi, acting like a Nazi, allowing these fascists to continue to kill and maim and hurt people? You are known by your actions and how you think. How you think is how you're going to act. It's simple thinking, simple biology, simple thought processes. Okay, let's continue. Number 13, they both don't believe we are all equal under the law, and that we are guilty until proven innocent. They believe that they believe that you are guilty before you're proven innocent. Think of what happened to Trump. They accuse you without any evidence whatsoever. That's how a Nazi thinks. They will blame you. They don't believe that you're equal under the law. They think some are equal more than others. So if they base it on the racism and oppression, basically, that person has historically been oppressed, therefore they are more equal than a white person or something like that. They don't believe we're equal under the law. They believe a person's race should matter more than their basic value system and what they do and what they say and how they think. That's how racists think. That's how a fascist thinks. That's how the Democrat has been trained to think. So that's why you got to understand that the Democrat Party is training you to be a fascist. Unfortunately, I hate to even use the party because, you would think that people would just ignore parties, but really, this is all collecting in one location. It's the Democrat Party. You got to face it. This is not Republicans teaching people to be whites or higher than. No, we believe in equality under the law. We're all equal under the law. Okay, let's continue on. They both are racist because they magnify the differences in the race of others to divide and destabilize America with promoting the supremacy and pervasiveness of white privilege. They're both pushing white privilege. That's what they're doing right now. Okay, and they both, think about it now. You got the Democrats saying that whites are privileged, and therefore we need to teach. We need people to be treated a little bit higher. We need whites to take care of the black people. That's racist right there. When they say that white black people can't take care of themselves, that's being racist. Okay. Okay, they both are statists and want to get rid of our representative form of government. They both do. Antifa and the white supremacists want to get rid of our representative government. They both support the Planned Parenthood organization, which was founded by a racist named Margaret Sanger, who created it to wage a public genocide on all American ethnic minorities through targeted abortions, which is still being used today to exterminate future generations of minorities. That's what the white supremacists believe, and that's what the Antifa believes. They believe the same exact thing. Okay, they both want a centralized government takeover of healthcare and the destruction of private insurance so that their version of government has the power to ration healthcare and determine who lives and who dies. That's the Democrat Party, that is Antifa, and that's Black Lives Matter. They both believe the same exact thing. And that's what the Nazis believe too. They believe that the government should take over all of healthcare. That's exactly what fascists, what Hitler believed. And yet, again, how you think is how you're going to act and how you're going to vote. So the Democrat Party is following line by line what Hitler pushed. Also, of course, the devaluing of human life. You can't even value the human life inside the womb. And therefore, you don't value human life outside the womb. It's just the principle of the fact. Okay, both Antifa and the white nationalists both commit mass shooting attacks all across America, which are then used by Democrat politicians and their socialist government-controlled media, namely CNN, MSNBC, and others, to manufacture propaganda used to promote policies, of course, used to disarm law-abiding American citizens. They both are doing the same exact thing. Okay, and if the Republican Party is not careful, the Democrats will take over the Republican Party. And this is what was happening, beginning to happen right now. Because you see, the Democrats, the traditional Democrats, don't have a party. They're losing it to the socialists. They're the more moderate Democrats. So what they're doing is they're trying to get conservatives out of the Republican Party. That's what's really happening. So this is why people will have and rightfully so, not believe in parties at all, because we need to really focus on the issues, not just the parties, because this is where we're getting at. If the Democrats are now losing their party, they're becoming Republicans, then conservatives have to create their own party. You know what I'm saying? So this is where we're at now. And usually a party was identified by their platform. So unfortunately, the Republicans, by attacking Trump, who's actually made the Republican Party more of America First party, then what's going to happen to the Republican Party if they start attacking Trump? They're going to become like what? Democrats. And that's exactly what Democrats wanted all along. So you got to understand this. And this is why there's a swell of independent voters right now. We're saying, hey, we just want what's good for America. We don't care about the party. And I don't blame them. There may come a time when I myself will say, Republican Party, you become too liberal, too leftist right now. So until then, we have to try to make certain that we have our voices heard and we get out all of those people who are not supporting the Constitution of the United States. Those people who support it, fair and free elections should have nothing to be ashamed about. And they should be continually, all Americans should want fair and free elections. And we don't want corruption. We don't want China influencing our country. We don't want other nations. Okay, so that's what we all want. Let's continue on here. We're almost done here. Okay, again, let me repeat 18 one more time. They both have committed mass shooting attacks. Think about the cops in our cities. All those cops that died, all the shootings that happened in Chicago, even with all the gun control policies, all those shootings, and they do nothing about it. They continue, they commit these mass attacks. Every time during Obama's administration, there was a mass shooting, mass attack, He used it as an opportunity to push gun control on the law-abiding citizens, the people who didn't even do the attacks. He was focused on taking guns from the law-abiding because it was about politics. It was about party control. It's about that agenda of government having all the guns. That's what Hitler voted for. That's what Stalin voted for. That's what the fascists, this is what Antifa wants. That's what the white nationalists want. They want the same exact thing. And therefore, if A equals B equals C equals D, then they're all equivalent. They all work together on the same agenda to push America toward a socialist state, which means no freedom for anybody, no economic freedom, no personal freedoms, no freedom of speech. We lose it all. And yet they're working together. Now once I hit the punchline, you're gonna say, what in the world? Yes, you're gonna see that on the 21st one I read to you, okay? And I wrote all this up. I did my own research on this. Okay, 19, they both use the same leftist, Democrat, socialist government-controlled media to manufacture racial division across America. Both the white nationalists, the media will use the white nationalists who believe just about everything the Democrats believe, everything Antifa believes, everything even the Democrat Party believes, and the media believes, ultimately, the policies, and yet they're blaming Republicans or conservatives for the violence. Makes absolutely no sense. Okay, it's all manufactured. They'll use one guy as a bully, and then they project everything on that one person, the one boogeyman. Okay, so they all work together. Every one of them work together. Okay, number 20, they both work for the Democrat Party's agenda, which uses people ignorant of history to join socialist billionaire leftist, billionaire-funded leftist front groups in order to relitigate the Civil War, to cover up the fact that Democrats advocated slavery, segregation, and use open border immigration to use illegal immigrants as indentured servants, continue human trafficking, and trick them into voting socialist. All right, that's a big term. I'm going to repeat that again because that's a big mouthful to understand. I'm going to slow it down so you'll understand how this all fits together. They both work for the Democrat Party's agenda, which uses people ignorant of history to join socialist, billionaire-funded leftist front groups. What are those? Black Lives Matter, Antifa, those kind of groups. Occupy Wall Street. Think of the time we had that, the time of the peace, love, and chicken grease, the hippie movements. All that peace, love music was designed as propaganda to get us out of fighting communism globally. That's what it was all designed for. And then shooting President Kennedy was about hindering President Kennedy's agenda of stopping communism from spreading all across the world. That's what that whole thing was about in the Vietnam War. To just all that, you had Jane Fonda fighting, you had all of these leftist politicians and musicians saying, oh, this war is horrible, horrible. And they were being used by communist China and all these communist groups around the world so that they could just get America out of the picture, cut America out of stopping the encroaching of communists around the world. And now the communists are inside of this country, and where the enemies are within and within our bureaucracy. So this is where the fight is, America. We don't want to lose your freedoms? Then stop voting for these socialists and these politicians that allow communism to spread across America. So they both work for the Democrat Party's agenda, which uses people ignorant of history to join socialist, billionaire-funded leftist front groups in order to relitigate the Civil War and cover up the fact that Democrats advocated slavery, Democrats pushed segregation, and Democrats use open border immigration to use those illegal immigrants as indentured servants to continue human trafficking and trick them into voting socialist. Why in the world would a person leave Mexico, leave socialist countries, flee them for economic freedom to come to America only to be welcomed by the same socialists who are going to put them in the chains of indentured servitude? This is the Democrat Party. Latinos should not be voting Democrat because they normally don't want to vote for the same socialist system their forefathers and mothers fled from. They fled from that kind of group. So they should be conservative or closer to the Republican side, if anything. Okay, so that's what they should be. All right. And that's what it should. Now, the point is, this is the final point I'm going to be making right now. The final point is just about the only difference between Antifa and the white supremacist nationalists are their names. They both were in Charlottesville, Virginia in 2017, play acting before the national media like they were enemies. But all this time, their leftist goals and objectives were always one and the same. The Democrat Party is willing to reenact the conditions of the old Nazi Germany within America in order to bring instability and destabilization from within between globalist Antifa, socialist terrorists, and white supremacist nationalist terrorists, both pushing an anti-American socialist agenda under the banner of the Democrat Party. And there you have it, folks. Antifa, Black Lives Matter, and the Democrat Party are one and the same. When they accuse other people of being racist and being fascist, they're only looking at themselves in the mirror. They're only projecting what's inside their own head onto other people, because no one thinks like that. How do you, in the world, what do we call a person who has you think like this, you're thinking like, you feel this, you think like this. What in the world? How do you know how I think? How do you know how I feel? I look at actions. So my actions don't show that, but their actions show me everything. Their anger, their hatred toward America, their hatred toward freedom and capitalism and the Constitution says it all. Their words mean absolutely zero, a big zero. No matter how many words, they can have a million, trillion, billion words, but if it amounts to no substance, it's zero. It means absolutely nothing. They are the fascists. They're the ones who are pushing this same exact agenda. Therefore, Antifa, Black Lives Matter, funded by the same socialist billionaire who was actually a real Nazi, who's so old he served under Adolf Hitler's agenda, and the media says nothing. They are one and the same. They're controlling all the institutions. They want to control the voting machines and every aspect of society. Being that they're fascists, that's what a fascist is. Like we said, they control the institutions, government control over healthcare, government control over education, government control over every aspect of our lives. They are the fascists. That's what fascism looks like. That's not what democracy looks like. That's what fascism looks like. And that's what we get from the left right now. International fascism. So we all look like old Germany. And therefore, George Soros is basically fulfilling the agenda of Adolf Hitler right before our very eyes. So that's why the young people in the Democrat Party, I'm calling you to revolt against the Democrat Party system. They all along have been wasting your time. They have all along been getting you to rile up, using the best times of your life when you were the strongest and youngest. They get bitter and angry over a country that only has blessings and freedom in store and economic freedom. There's nowhere else in the country, but they are bent out of shape on words that you don't even understand. You don't even know the definition of the words, and you're getting all bent out of shape, beating up people, wearing your black, wearing your brown, wearing all that kind of stuff, trying to hurt little ladies and men who just love you, who would die for you, who have died for you, young people, for your freedoms, and yet you want to kill them and beat them because you have no idea about the worth that you're talking about. You know, you don't even realize that you are in the twilight zone of fascism, and you don't even realize it. But today you are realizing it. Today you're realizing it because you're now understanding that how you think is how you're going to act, and we're seeing it played out now. If you don't want to associate yourself with real fascism and real tyrannical totalitarianism, then you need to leave the Democrat Party. You need to leave Marxism. You need to leave socialism, because that's who you are if you don't leave it. because how you think is what you're going to do and how you're going to act and how you believe. We can tell what you're going to do by how you believe. All right. So anyways, folks, just want to leave that to you. God bless America and God bless you. I love you all. Okay. Talk to you later. Peace.